right, today is Easter Monday, but for Orthodox Christian around the world who follow the Julian calendar, it's this weekend. That is Easter. So here to share a traditional Greek Easter dish that is also budget-friendly is George Leganis of Pape and Danforth's Ellis Meat Market. George, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
So George, this is a beautiful looking cut of meat here. What are we looking at and what's the connection to Orthodox Easter?
So this is a lamb shoulder, and lamb is a very traditional dish for all of us to celebrate Easter. And I chose the shoulder because it's one of the more economically friendly cuts of lamb as opposed to a lamb leg or the loin or the chops.
Right, okay, yeah. So tell us about it then.
So this is the whole shoulder right here, which looks a little intimidating, but it's actually going to be one of the tastiest things you can have. And as a butcher, anything that has bones and fat
is good. Yeah, especially for soup after too, if you're planning to do that.
Exactly, you could use everything.
You were showing me the knife, which is huge and super heavy. So how do you go about, cutting the lamb shoulder?
So the shoulder is a little intimidating, like I said. There's two ways. You could actually cook it the way it is, as a whole piece, or you go to your butcher and you ask him to do a few cracks.
Whoa! Oh my gosh.
So that will break it over here, and then a nice little smack over there.
So I don't want all the other stuff falling off the table here.
And there you go.
So you would do that, and then does the person take it home and break apart the rest of it? What?
So you won't do anything else. Your butcher, such as myself, will do this. And now it opened it up so it's easier for you to serve. Now when you get home, it's time for you to marinate.
Yeah, so let's see how you do this.
Let's get into the marination.
Are you going to...
Do you want us to do this?
Yeah, please.
Should we each put on some blue gloves?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I'm one of those people, I think I've been averted to, I don't really like touching meat when I cook because I'm kind of a germaphobe.
Fair.
But you're like, fair? You're not a real butcher.
You're going to touch me now.
I love that I've got the medical gloves on for this. All right, so now I'm ready.
So it's very simple. Like I said, the whole point is to be cost effective, right? So you have olive oil from my mom's village.
Nice.
You have oregano, pepper, salt, and a little bit of garlic. So what I'd like you to do is just sprinkle a little bit of everything on here.
Like all over it, kind of?
All over it, yeah.
Oh, I like this part. This is like sprinkles. Okay.
I'll get in there too for the next round here.
Exactly. Perfect.
So
a little salt.
A little garlic.
Okay.
Yep.
I noticed the garlic isn't really sort of too diced up necessarily.
It's not too minced, right?
No,
it's
exactly.
just kind
you kind of want to get it in there.
Stick it in, kind of.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
That's perfect. And now grab the olive oil.
Okay, I'll let you do that, Jen.
Okay.
There you go.
And this is from your mom's village. Which village is she from?
She's from Patra, which is in Peloponneso, and it's just outside of Patra. So it's
smells amazing.
Right?
Wow.
So just a little bit.
Like all over, kind of.
Yeah. And then I want you to get your hands dirty.
And then rub.
Rub it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get right in there. Yep.
Oh wow.
I hope I don't have to adjust my tie at this point.
I hope you don't get any oil on your clothes.
Yeah. I'm just gonna add a little bit more. I feel like it just needs a little.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And now flip it and do the same thing.
Okay, we're running out of time here.
We have to season this part as well,
That's
obviously,
perfect.
right? Okay.
And George, while we're doing this work, because we're a bit tight on time, where else can we find more information or find you even?
So we're located at 674 Pape Avenue, just south of Danforth. We've been there since 1977. And you can ask any one of my butchers there. I have the most incredible team, very knowledgeable, especially when it comes to cooking as well. So any questions you have, you ask them, you find us, we'll do everything for you.
How long for a cut of meat this big and this kind of weight?
So you put it in the oven with some potatoes, and it's 375, 2 hours covered. Take the cover off, 15 minutes just to get it all nice and crispy, and you're done.
2 hours,
the finished product looks absolutely incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's going to smell this good, what we just did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So simple, all these ingredients.
Simple, cost-effective, and you celebrate Easter.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, listen, happy Orthodox Easter.
Happy
Thank you so much,
Orthodox
George.
Easter.
Appreciate
Thanks
this.
for this
Thank you so much,
tutorial. Very
guys.
cool.
I mean, this is a very familiar face to so many sports fans and Blue Jays fans in the city. One of the most recognizable faces of the last 2 decades from that franchise, former manager John Gibbons, opening up now his personal archive for a closer look at his life inside baseball, and it's a long one. Thanks in part to the pandemic, he's just released his memoir, Gibby, Tales of a Baseball Lifer. Gibby, John Gibbons, joins us live in studio this morning. So great to have you here, John. Thanks for being here this morning.
Well, I tell you, I appreciate you guys having me. It's nice to be back. You know, it's been a while, and just walking these streets here, it's bringing back a lot of good memories.
And you know, you were here. You had 2 iterations with the Toronto Blue Jays. Your last one, I would say, you had like this incredible team, and we're kind of talking today about, you know, it's opening day at least in Toronto right now, and there's a lot of expectations for this Blue Jays team. And you talk about in this book managing expectations, managing a team with all that talent, that kind of thing. What's it like as a manager when you go into a season? It's like, this team's going to win the World Series. How does that hit you as the manager?
Well, you want that, right? That means the baseball world thinks you're good, right? But you can also be a little leery as the manager, going, wait a minute, you know, we still have some deficiencies here, maybe. But when expectations are a good thing, you know, because there's a lot of teams out there, low expectations, and so it can be a dud year, right?
Yeah.
So, but this team is really, really good they have this year. And it reminds me a lot of our team in 2015 because, you know, our lineup was incredible, right?
Yeah, that was amazing. That was just such a solid team, top to bottom. Yeah. So, you know, the other thing that comes through in this book is the way you interact and work with your players, right? Because of the experience you had. You may have only played 18 Major League Baseball games, but you've been through the system up and down, all the minor leagues, all that, and you really learned through that, it seemed, John, how to manage people. How would you describe your management philosophy when it came to talent, or, you know, the sort of the you know, run-of-the-mill players, as it were?
Well, you know what? I appreciate and respect what these guys do, right? You know, because I wanted to be one of them, and I just couldn't get over the top. So I have a great admiration, their work ethic, and their talent, right? And I understand that they're the show. People want to come see these guys. And my job, or any manager's job, is to get the most out of the team that the front office puts together, right? Whatever that takes. And then, of course, I dip back into my own experiences growing up and the way I was raised and my sporting experience, and to put it all together, you know. And one thing, I don't think you'll ever find a player that didn't think I was fair to him or was honest with him, you know. And I try to live by that, and generally that works pretty good.
Josh Donaldson obviously wrote the foreword to your book, and you mentioned him in your book about how much you loved having him as one of your players. He loved having you as a manager. Can you talk a bit more about that relationship? Because the bringer of rain was just epitomized, I think, that team.
The bringer of rain or the bringer of pain, I call
that
it.
too, yeah.
No, you know, Josh and I are still pretty close, you know, keep in touch. He's got 2 kids now. I'm proud of the guy, right?
Yeah.
But we butted heads along the way. You know, it's not any different than any other family. You know,
Right.
As a baseball team, you're together more than you are with your real family. But we connected. You know, I understood him and appreciated him, and I think he appreciated the way I treated him. You know, and you know, I'm still rooting for him. He's getting at the end of his career.
Yeah.
You know, he's a little banged up now, but he put the. You know, he was instrumental in putting this team back on the map. And
Absolutely.
after
yeah.
22 years, he was him and Russell Martin, we brought him over. They were key parts of resurrecting the team.
And that swing, I could watch Josh Donaldson swing a baseball bat all day. I just loved watching that. I want to talk to you about the changes to the Rogers Center, because I think they really play into your story. You were a bullpen catcher, coach, backup catcher behind Gary Carter with the Mets, and you talked about some of the opposing team bullpens and when they were raised up and the fans could really get on you. And you actually hit a fan with the ball inadvertently. You tell that story in your book. So what do you make? I want to talk about 2 things. One, your experiences as in the bullpen like that, but 2, what you think of how the Rogers Center now elevated their bullpens and sort of brought them up to fan level.
Well, see, I think the fans will love that, right? You know, and sometimes it used to be a place you'd go hide, right?
Right.
But the fans, you know, fans would be just hollering down at you. Mm-hmm. Now you're kind of up at their level, and I think it's good for, you know, especially when you're home team, right? Mm-hmm. They'll appreciate them, but that could be a lonely place down there, and now you know, guys would have a tendency to fall asleep. Now they won't be able to because people will be breathing down their neck. But yeah, I hit a fan in Fenway. I overthrew the pitcher. I was warming him up. Hit some guy right in the back, you know. And,
Fenway, those are tough fans.
oh yeah, those are my people. Mom and Dad born and raised in Boston, you know. Yeah. So maybe I was getting back at them, I guess.
Right. Do you have like a special memory, particularly of your time in Toronto? I mean, 2013, 14, 15, 16. There was some amazing seasons there. Does one stick out, like bat flip, or what sticks out to you the most?
Well, naturally, the bat flip, you know, that's in baseball history. You know, that's one of the top moments is going to go down in history. I guess, you know, just when we finally won something here in 22, it's been 22 years, yeah. Right? And then in 15, we finally won the division because there's been a lot of false promises, a lot of, you know, telling the fan base, hey, this is the year.
Yeah.
Well, everybody knew we weren't talented enough, right? Especially with the way the Yankees and the Red Sox were built. So then it was a lot of years of frustration, and finally things just came together, you know. Alex Anthopoulos made some great deals at the trade deadline, and bam, it's like a light switch. And so that's my number one memory, you know. But the characters I had a chance to manage, yeah, I'll never forget those guys.
And you know what I really like about your book, Gibby, is you have these different segments, so Gibby's Gospel, I think it was called, where different mentions of different sort of people you met in baseball, whether they played or scouts or coaches, managers, etc. How did you come up with the idea for that, or sort of highlighting and profiling those in kind of like sidebars, as it were?
Well, the guy that wrote the book, Greg Oliver, did a great job. That was his idea to do that, you know. And so, yeah, there's some special people throughout my career. Not only that helped me, but there were some underdogs that I had a chance to manage and things like that. Or people really impacted my baseball life, right? Mm-hmm. And so we just try to highlight them a little bit. There's so many guys I left out of that I could have included, but yeah, we kind of had fun with that and kind of changed things up a little bit. We
got about 30 seconds left, John. What do you hope people get from reading your book? Because I like, as a sports fan, as a baseball fan, I enjoyed it, but what do you hope people that maybe not even necessarily fans get out of it?
Well, I hope they get a chuckle out of it, you know, and enjoy reading. It doesn't put them to sleep at night. Or maybe that's not a bad thing either, right? So, yeah, because I've had a wonderful life. I didn't have the playing career that I wanted, but it ended up turning out pretty good as a manager, and I made a lot of good friends, and people were so good to me along the way.
Well, listen, John, I always enjoyed scrumming you down on the field at Skydome, Rogers Center, pardon me, and listen, good to talk to you in person today, so thanks for being here this morning. Good luck with the book.
Well, thank you guys for inviting me.
For sure.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
John Gibbons, really appreciate this.
Element City. Air usually has their head in the clouds.
Oh, my new jacket!
Earth can be a little seedy.
Nothing weird going on here.
Just a little pruning. Water is always getting into something.
What if the elements we all know were alive? That is the question director Peterson Imagine in the all-new original Disney Pixar feature film, Elemental. It's a world where we see fire, water, earth, and air residents all living together. We meet a fiery young woman named Ember Lumen and a go-with-the-flow guy named Wade Ripple, and together they go on quite an adventure of self-discovery. So for more on this exciting film, we're joined by the man, the director himself, Peterson. Peter, welcome to Toronto. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here.
Well, we are so honored to have you. I only got to see 4 scenes of this film.
Yeah.
It comes out in June, but already I was hooked. I wanted more. Just so clever, and I can see why the film took 7 years to make. But you've been with, Pixar Animation for over 20 years.
Yeah.
You've done voice acting, you've done directing, you've done kind of almost everything, but now you're finally lending your personal story to this film. Talk more about how the idea came about.
Yeah, it really did. The ingredients were from 3 personal places for me. One being, like thanking my parents, like they were immigrants from Korea, and understanding the sacrifice that they had made for my brother and I. And then I had married someone that wasn't Korean, and my parents were like, my grandmother's dying words were like, "Marry Korean," and then went out, and I didn't. I fell in love with someone, and that created a lot of culture clash. And then the third ingredient was literally the elements. When I was a kid and looking at the periodic table of elements, I just saw apartment buildings and these little Mercury living next to copper, but don't trust X because they're they're gassy, whatever. But yeah, those were the ingredients.
That's funny. I'm gassy too. Usually,
yeah. Aren't we all? Aren't we all gassy?
Yeah. I'm very gassy at that age. You know what I mean?
And there's a lot of that in the movie. You're gonna love it. There's so much to play with.
But I love how you point to the differences in these elements, and you're really showing adults and children, hey, we can accept the differences in ourselves and live together in Elemental City. So it's interesting because in this Elemental City, it's not, a melting pot. There's quite a hierarchy. Water came first, so that's the infrastructure. And fire, they're kind of the last immigrants to the city. And we really see how they get treated before they build up their life. So talk about the boundaries that were pushed to make this visual spectacle come alive, because you wanted fire to be fire, not just a character that has fire.
Yeah, that's right. It all started off as a drawing of just a fire person, and then putting a fire person over water, and then figuring fire would be terrified of being in water. And then we had made this water character, and then from there you just started building the city off of that. And it's really funny. We did research about Canada and Toronto, essentially about the multiculturalism here, and how these communities still get to keep. I grew up in New York where it was about assimilation and just becoming blend in, versus here it's like a salad bowl where you get to keep everything separated. And we were trying to do the same thing in the movie, but in this super fun way of splitting what earth people do and what water people do, for sure.
Yeah, there's so many details, just even the names, right? We meet a girl named Ember Lumen. Lumen's a light company. And then the water guy is named Wade Ripple. And another Canadian aspect to this film, Catherine O'Hara plays Wade's mother in this film.
Yes.
Lends her voice to him.
What a legend. It was an honor to just like get to talk to her. When I pitched her the film, she immediately was just like, oh, I need to do this. And then and we had like very little time because she rocked the recording so hard. Her improv skills, she was so funny immediately. I think it was like my left organ that popped because I was laughing so hard. But like she brought so much fun and entertainment to Wade's mom, Brooke, and it's just an honor to get to work with her for sure.
Oh my gosh, so exciting! And Peter, I want to talk about the comedy and the funny moments. How much input did you have on that part of the film?
Well, it's a collaborative effort at Pixar for sure, but it's like a therapy session where you're just talking about your lives and putting in, for example, it was funny because like I grew up with a lot of spicy food, and it was just like, oh, what would be fun for a fire character to eat that would be really spicy for a water character? And so we came up with like hot coals or coal nuts that they would be eating, and then you could see the water character eating a coal nut and boil with the inside. I'm like, that's exactly what it was like bringing my in-laws to eat Korean food for the first time. And so it was always that sort of game where you're just bringing yourself
and that
into
relationship between Ember and Wade really kind of mimics your relationship with your wife and then the culture clash that happens as well. All right, well, Peterson, we're so excited to see Elemental. Disney and Pixar's Elemental once again opens in theaters on June 16th.
All right, the Second City settling into its new gigs at One York, and fittingly their first main stage show is taking a tongue-in-cheek look at some of the quirks and culture of Toronto.
That's right. And one of the show's star, Jillian Welsh, joins us live now on CP24 Breakfast to talk more about Skyline's The Limit. That's the name of the show. And it's perfect because it kind of overlooks, the waterfront. And of course, it's dealing with one of the quirks of Toronto, that being isolation, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's amazing. The new facility is so gorgeous. Our view is like looking right over the water. You can watch planes land at Porter. Yeah.
Jill, what do you find funniest about Toronto, whether it's in the act or not?
I think Toronto is really interesting because you have so many different people like living all stacked on top of each other. But how much do you know your neighbors?
That's true.
A variety of characters can be living right next door, which we explore in the show.
Absolutely. And, you play various characters in the show. It's a six-person ensemble. Talk about the process of when you guys first started. I guess you can rehearse to a certain point because it's improv. Anything goes the night of. So how has that cohesion finally gelled?
Well, actually, how we write is improv-based. So basically, we tell each other, like, oh, I have this funny idea, which is just like a premise. And then we take it out on stage and improvise it in front of an audience. If the audience laughs, then it stays. If they don't laugh, you go home and think about it forever, but that gets cut from the show.
Right.
So it's very cool. You write real time. The audience acts as your editor when you're building the show.
If it hits, you keep it. If it doesn't, you don't. Now, how many of these premises are based on actual real-life experiences among you and the cast members?
Quite a few.
Quite a few,
yeah. I would say most of them are based on our real-life experiences, although some of them you might look at and be like, oh, very far removed, but
Okay, can you give us an example of one?
I do a Drinking Lights podcast with actually Andy Hall, and that is based in Turners, Ontario, which is based on where I grew up. So in the home that I grew up, we had the Drinking Lights, which was basically the Christmas lights that didn't get taken down. And whenever they were turned on, the neighbors knew that they could stop by on our porch and just hang out.
Really?
Yeah.
Drinking Lights?
And drink.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And where did you grow up again?
Turners, Ontario.
Where is that?
It's a really, really small old junction in Saugeen Township.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find that coming from a small town has given you a different sort of perspective on comedy, and then on the big city of Toronto, like kind of that contrast?
Absolutely. And also I say there's a different dialect in southwestern Ontario. You'll Canadian speak over there, which comes out of me every once in a while. Yeah, and definitely like going from a small town to a large city. There's so much to look at. I remember being amazed that the highway could go underneath another highway.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Layers and layers,
Yeah.
and that's definitely what Skyline's the Limit kind of tackles. There's even a bit of like throwback to nostalgia in the show, right?
Yes, yeah. I guess people are thinking that that sketch that I was talking about is very much like Bob and Doug McKenzie, which was not my intention, but yeah, very much.
But I'm talking about like the analog stuff, like cereal boxes, DVD players, you know, those things.
Yeah, there's an old Dell computer that is dusty in the basement that gets brought back to life for a moment to talk about a search history, which is very fun.
Yeah. What's it like being a part of SCTV when you think of the alumni and particularly the incredible Canadian content that's come out of SCTV and the fact that you're there? I know it's a different stage now based on the, the new area, but what is that like to be a part of SCTV?
It's very cool. Honestly, it's an absolute like dream come true, and it's a very cool way to get to work because we all write things together as a cast.
Right.
Your cast kind of becomes your best friend. So like you can understand why people like Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy work together forever because it's a really beautiful way to meet people and just like have so much fun together. Yeah.
Right. And you've done, very quickly, you've done 2 weeks of shows already, 8 shows a week, I think you mentioned. Has there ever been anything that stood out to you that was just like, whoa, that happened?
Yeah. So there's a structured improv, which is where we bring up an audience member, and I got to do improv with Colin Mockery, which was
the king.
so cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, well, hang on, Jill. Don't go anywhere. This is really fun for us. Jill is going to stick around and play with Bill, and Jen and I are going to play a game against him, a session of rapid fire. Bill is approaching the couch right now. This is going to sort of test some of the most Toronto iconic-isms or iconic Torontoisms that are out there. You could also win some tickets to Jill's show and maybe a little bit of swag as well.
Okay, this is super exciting. We are giving away a pair of tickets to see Second City's show, Skyline's the Limit, and here's your chance to get in on the comedy action. Because the show revolves around Toronto, we're playing rapid-fire word guessing game. Teams are me and Jillian versus Nick and Jen. That's me and Jillian, and that's Nick and Jen.
Hello. You didn't recognize us as the anchors?
We've each been given a list of words that are Toronto-themed. One person will give a description of the word, and the other will guess, and there's only 60 seconds on the clock to guess as many of those words as you can. Team Second City, that's me, honorarily, thank you, and Jillian, so I guess we start. I face you, they're gonna set up the clock, and as soon as they're ready, we rapid fire. And they'll let me know as soon as they're
Okay.
Okay, go.
Okay. 3 words.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan.
Prairie
Pressing your
provinces?
shirt.
Oh, iron.
That's the second word.
Okay, something iron.
Saskatchewan.
Oh,
Structures.
brick
Structures.
Think structures.
Iron structure in Toronto.
Flatiron.
Oh, Flatiron.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, okay. Former mayor. First, opposite of first.
Oh, second.
Spice Girl, opposite of first.
Mel Lastman.
Yes, okay.
Oh, I'm not very good at this. Jillian, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Male identified, slang for them.
Slang, they.
Male identified, slang for them.
Oh, he.
Toronto slang. Well, we'll skip it. IKEA, monkey, little jacket.
Who's
Also
the
named after.
little monkey. Who's the little monkey? Darwin.
Yes, okay. Large man. Used to be a comedian. Late
John
comedian.
Candy.
Yes, okay, amazing. Number for the city. Drake says it all the time.
Oh, it's number 6.
Yeah,
the 6.
Yep, okay. It's too late now to say sorry.
Oh, Justin Bieber.
Okay.
We did okay.
Oh, no, we're doing it. Oh,
We did it.
We're
I think
done.
we got
Okay.
it. Oh, you couldn't hear that. Wait. I think we got this.
Jillian,
Easy. Easy.
Oh, your energy.
Seriously, okay, we got to get to the game here.
I love that.
Together.
we
You got
good?
your work
Ready?
cut out for you.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right, masked animal famous in the city.
Raccoon.
Right, all right. Longtime mayor of Mississauga.
Bonnie Crombie. Hazel McCallion.
Right, she tossed a seat out of a condo.
Chair Girl.
That's right. Famous store on Yonge Street back in the day. They sold albums. They
Stan
sold
the
music.
Record Man.
Yeah, all right. The 6, he coined it, we think.
Drake.
Yep. You can skate there. It's like twirly whirly underneath the highway, underneath the
Betway.
Gardner. Yeah. All right. She's in Home Alone. She's from Second City.
Catherine O'Hara.
Right. I'm skipping number 8. You could
Why?
go up the
No
CN
skipping,
Tower
no skipping.
and go around it outside.
The Walkway. The Edge. The edge. Walking the edge. Edge walk.
Bill loves this.
Cookies.
Okay, the Raptors fans were out there last night.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, right. Going back to number 10 here. This is On the Island, EDM tunes. Do you know the name of it? It's people go there, big concert. It's a
that thing. You know, Hamlin's Point.
Electric Island.
It's
Electric
Veld
Circus.
Music Festival.
Veld Music.
I didn't get White
No, that's a
Squirrels.
Downsview.
I must admit I didn't know.
You know what?
You're so good.
You guys are ringers. Jillian had her work cut out for maybe her because I came late to the game. Okay.
So
how do you win? How do you win tickets? All you gotta do is visit cp24.com/contest or scan the barcode on the screen right now. The code word is the name of the team that won. Womp womp. So either Team Second City or Team CP24 Breakfast. Enter that for your chance to win. Good luck.
That was awesome.
You did great. You did great.
I want to see you perform.
We got a headline.
Grandfather is dead.
I don't even know him. They want me to fly to Rome tomorrow night to settle his affairs.
If you end up with the chance to inherit your late grandfather's business empire in Italy, you would pounce, right? Well, what if his business is the head of the mafia? That's the premise of Mafia Mama. Director Catherine Hardwicke, renowned director, joins us live in the studio now to talk about this film starring Toni Collette and Monica Bellucci out in theaters today. Catherine, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
This movie, I got to watch it. It is just fish out of water, but it's a combination of everything. Eat, Pray, Love, The Godfather, Mamma Mia, Scarface. What made you want to direct this film?
All of the things you just said. Because right now, after like all these years in the pandemic, I just wanted to laugh. I like to go to movies now that make me laugh and like entertaining. And I thought this was so crazy. I mean, Toni thinks she's going in to have a rom-com, romantic adventure in Italy, and she turns out she's getting shot at and people are trying to kill her.
Yeah, and she goes through quite the story arc through this movie, and a lot of it deals with feminism and women owning their own voices and just saying, hey, this is what I want. And I know that you directed Toni in another movie, and she wanted you to be part of this because your history is just so diverse. What was it like filming in Italy and with a full Italian cast?
Oh my God, everybody but Toni and Sofia Novette are Italian, so we had all these real Italians telling me, and you're in the mafia, you wear your watch on this side so you have more weight when you punch somebody. I'm like, okay, cool. And here's how you eat pasta, you know, so that made it really fun. And all the locations are just drop dead, like 400-year-old villas and wineries that have been there forever with the stones, you know.
Yeah, it was such a treat to watch this because I laughed a lot. I mean, despite the, you know, tomatoes and oranges and blood and violence and action scenes, it was very funny. Talk about that high heel scene, though. That was something else, where she uses her high heel as a weapon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Crotch eye, you know.
Something she learns in her boxing class.
Yeah, she learns in her boxing class for self-defense and grabs one of those gorgeous Italian stilettos and lets the guy have it. And he deserved it.
Yes.
And then at the same time, she's listening to her bosses back in L.A. being totally like male gaze, you know, talking about jet skis and totally ignoring her. Like they put her on mute.
Yeah.
Like silence the voice. So the rage is just kind of building up, you know.
Wow. And what was it like, you know, reuniting with Toni Collette and then also working with Monica Bellucci, this renowned, like the Meryl Streep of Italy, basically.
Yeah, incredibly, you know, elegant. It was great because Toni is so much fun. In this case, she's an American housewife that's kind of bubbly and excited to be in Italy. And then Monica is very elegant and refined. And Monica teaches her how to be a mafia boss and gives her a makeover and puts her in the, you know, Dolce & Gabbana suits and makes her look amazing. So you see this friendship develop between the two women, and you know, it's kind of beautiful. She's Monica supports her. That's the first time we've really seen like a mafia boss. Monica's the consigliere.
Right.
She's a woman.
Yes, yes. She's kind of the one in charge, and eventually it's Toni Collette. But there's so many surprises and twists in this film. I can't wait for everyone to see it because I certainly was entertained. Could not stop watching it. Mafia Mama out in theaters everywhere starting today. Once again, director Catherine Hardwicke. Thanks so much for joining us.
Much.
I love your outfit, by the way, and good luck with the rest of the showings.
Thank you. Springtime in Toronto.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Catherine. Take care.